and our city administrator.
One building
Should read.
right.
Come on, Mayor.
Good evening, and welcome to the meeting of the Winnsboro. Sorry, hold on.
That was our Sunday one.
Yeah. Good evening, and welcome to the meeting of the Winnsboro City Council. Let the record show that a quorum of City Council is present. Notice of this meeting was posted in accordance with the Texas Open Meetings Act, Texas Government Code, Chapter 551. I hereby call this meeting of the Winnsboro City Council to order at 5:33 p.m. We would like to welcome all visitors, citizens, and guests. If you have not signed in, please do so at this time in the podium in the lobby. We ask that you please silence all cell phones, and if you must take a call, please step outside. If you would like to address the council, please fill out a speaker card and turn it in to the city secretary, which would be Miss Angie. Speaker cards are located at the podium in the lobby. Please, we ask that you do not speak from your seat. You may speak when called upon, and when you are called upon, approach the podium, speak into the microphone, and state your name and address clearly. At that time, you will have 3 minutes to speak. Do we have anybody to do the... No? Mr. Hallwell, would you mind leading us in prayer, please?
Okay. Father, we thank you for this day and all your blessings to us, and we thank you for this opportunity to come together as a community in town to deliberate on the city business. We ask that you be with us, guide us, give us the wisdom and knowledge we need to make the right decisions for all of Winnsboro. These things we ask in Christ's name. Amen.
Amen.
We can also keep standing to do the flag pledge.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
For the Texas flag.
Honor the
Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
You can be seated, please. Okay, at this time, we have a presentation. Is Miss here?
Betty.
Is Miss Betty here? Let me read this out loud, if you don't mind. It says, whereas Bill Jones was born and educated in Winnsboro, Texas, where he lived with his wife for 44 years, Betty, and whereas he served his country in the United States Air Force. He would later graduate from East Texas State University in Commerce and work as a teacher and a coach before moving back to Winnsboro. And whereas Bill Jones was a businessman investing in real estate, the Jones family established the first livestock auction barn in Winnsboro in 1939, saving cattle producers from having to ship livestock to Fort Worth or Dallas to be sold. Whereas Bill Jones was instrumental in preserving history, Winnsboro structures such as the railroad depot and the rock gym. He also made the city cemetery was maintained. Bill placed historical markers throughout the city and was always happy to give a guided tour downtown, telling of events from the early days of Winnsboro. And whereas it was his mission to preserve history and teach others to know and appreciate it. Mr. Jones was asked to serve on several Wood County boards. Bill documented Winnsboro's history and shared it with us through the article in the Winnsboro News, Historical Reflections. For his contributions to the preserving the history of Winnsboro, Mr. Jones was named Man of the Year in 2013. And whereas, for his efforts to remember, preserve, and teach our local history, Bill was officially given the title of Winnsboro Historian by the Winnsboro City Council. Now, therefore, I, Andrea Newsom, Mayor of the City of Winnsboro, Texas, do hereby proclaim February 9th, 2022 as Bill Jones Day. In the City of Winnsboro, and on behalf of the City Council, I encourage all citizens to remember Bill Jones and embrace the legacy he leaves for Winnsboro.
Thank you. It is such an honor. And Bill would be so proud.
Well, we was proud to have him.
He may not be with us in body, but thanks to the Winnsboro News and his books, he lives on. And this will have a special place in my home and in my heart.
Okay. Let's move on to staff reports. Do we have anyone that has any questions from the council or anyone with the staff on the staff reports? No questions? Anything regarding staff reports? Mr. Ford and Ms. Jones, are we good? You're good as well? Okay, let's move on then to number 5, public comments. And I have a couple of people that wish to speak, so just going to be the luck of the draw here, okay? I ask that you do come forward and do speak at the podium. Of course, you'll state your name and address. Billy Emery.
My home address is 3749 Copenhagen. I own the property right by Sigma Enterprises. We've owned it for 68 years. I get out there every summer and fall, grow pumpkins for our pumpkin patch, corn, different things out there. Sunflowers, a lot of sunflowers. Anyways, when they started that plant up, basically sometime in August, that's when I started noticing, just smaller odors, not real bad. But then it got worse and worse, and then I started getting sick in my stomach. And that's getting worse as time goes on. And anyways, everybody around there has had some form of illness or feeling sick at their stomach or whatever. And I've had a lot of tests run. They're fixing to do some more invasive tests, endoscopies, things like that. And then they have to do biopsies. The stuff comes out of that plant, gets in your liver, creates gastric problems. Then, over time, it keeps making stuff worse. And I'm very opposed to anything to do with that plant. No one around there ever complained about the sale barn, the milk plant. That's just a brief odor. The smoke from that place is very harmful. Something needs to be done about it. And it's not good for little kids, I'll be out there working during the day, killing, hoeing, exerting myself, breathing in more stuff. It's worse at times when the smoke don't blow your way. But when the smoke ain't, I mean, the wind ain't blowing, it just kind of creeps the smell of it. And you can feel it burning in your belly. And it's highly toxic. All you got to do is get on the internet or the computer and read it. And I just learned how to do that. But I'm technically challenged.
Oh, no, I think we all have trouble.
But you can get on there and read all the toxic stuff that's in that smoke. They just got 7 violations, so it's not a pipe dream. I don't think the EPA or TCUQ just decided to mistreat poor little signals. Something needs to be done about it. And I reckon the lawyers or whoever will figure it out because stuff is coming.
All right, thank you, sir.
Go.
Okay, next, Jimmy Frederick.
Hello, I'm Jimmy Frederick, and I live on 184 County Road 4310, and it's in regards to the Sigma fertilizer plant over there. And I just want to speak up about on the city council and everything, that not trying to throw blame on anybody or anything as far as what's going on there. But I know, when y'all allow a company to come in, y'all do, y'all get engineers to check things out, y'all get different things to go on, and, you go by stuff that they tell you too. And, but since that plant's moved in, and we live there. We live on County Road 4310, which is just directly, basically across the street from there. And anyway, when they get to cooking that damn crap up there, it literally smokes up the whole area. And I've been outside with the grandkids, or be out just doing things that I need to do, outside, and it gets so bad and it's so pungent that you can't even be in it. Because it just literally stinks. It gets in your clothes, and you walk in the house and it stinks. Your grandkids, you know how grandkids are, in and out the door. When that thing goes cooking up out there, they'll come in and they're running in and out. It's like we're constantly shut the damn door. Because if you leave it open for any amount of time, it's in the house, and you have to live with that crap. And I don't know about any of y'all, but have y'all went over there when they're cooking that stuff and smelled it and seen what's going on? Literally there's a fog. I know they're cutting back a little bit now on it, I guess, and a lot of it is here for the last several weeks. We got a reprieve because the wind's been blowing out of the north. So it actually, I haven't, we know when they're doing it because you can hear the thing kick on and stuff, but it's not really been hitting us so hard right now. But we've had more, more times than not where we literally just can't even go outside. You don't even want to go out and cook on the grill. It's almost like you're just trapped by them. And I went over there and actually talked to them, and they're like, well, we're just trying to bring business in here. We're employing people and all that. I go, well, at what price is y'all's right to totally, just infringe on my right to be able to even just sit out in my yard or do things outside without having to smell their stuff? And, what I got? Oh, here, we'll give you a little bag of chicken crab. I'm like, I don't want your stuff. And that's exactly what they do, And I just wanted to tell them, that, you're not, there's more people around here than what y'all employ. And just the fact that y'all employ people doesn't give y'all the right to come in and just pollute, an area to where, even the value of the homes over there, ain't nobody going to buy a house over there with that thing cooking. Because literally, it's just, nobody, anybody walks over there and they got anything going over there and they smell it, then, you think they're going to buy your house or do anything with your property? No, it just goes, the value of it just went down, just like them, it just went down in the crap, And I before y'all, allow businesses to come in, there ought to be a lot more looking into it, especially, I know they come in and they think, oh, we're all organic, it's all great and fine and dandy, but it's not great and fine and dandy when you're having to sit over there and you basically have to be a prisoner in your home or leave. We've literally done that, just left, because we're just tired of smelling it and don't want to sit in the house, And, you know, and I'm not, you know, I've had times where, you know, I've had like dry coughs and stuff like that. I don't smoke or nothing like that. But, you know, there's times you get out there and you're trying to do stuff around the house or trying to do things, and that stuff, that thing smell and that kind of hazy smoke comes in, and you sit out there and you start hacking on it. And it just, you know, it gets rid of, I don't know, you know, it might cause problems with me later on, you know, but I'm fortunate to be fairly healthy. But, you know, the thing is I just wanted to speak up about it because, you know, I know they had to come and get approval from y'all to get built in there. I mean, and I'd just like to know how much research was done into, you know, what they do. Because there was never no notification coming over, you know, came to our house and say, hey, do y'all mind if we build a plant over here? It's going to smell like crap, but, you know, it's okay. You know, we want to be your friends, you know. And, you know, and it's not that way. You know, they're making money and, you know, off of their stuff, and we're the ones paying the price for it. And, you know, and I know I might be speaking too long.
Yeah, we have to.
I got a habit of being long-winded.
We have to kind of cut you off. I hate to say that, but we have to get everybody else in.
You know, my final words is I just really want, you know, before y'all allow companies or stuff to come in, you know, they need to be looked into. And you know what they're doing over there and leaving all over the ground and all that stuff. I know it's chicken crap. I've used, you know, compost from O.G. Osma and stuff, you know, and he gives that to me, and I use it in my garden and stuff like that. And I can go to these chicken houses and buy a trailer load of chicken crap if I want it, you know, and stuff. But it's the fact is that they just cook it, you know, and that cooking, and when they get that thing blowing, there's times that thing's just filled
We
with
appreciate. I
smoke.
hate to cut you off, but I have to.
Okay,
At the
understand.
time.
You know, I don't want everybody to get mad at me, but I'm just saying that, you know, we've got a real beef about this, and this needs to be really addressed.
Yes, sir. We
And,
appreciate you
their
coming
rights
forward.
don't supersede ours.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
The next one, Melissa Laurent? Laurent, I'm sorry.
My name is Melissa Laurent, and I live at 1530 State Highway 11. I live next door to the sale barn. Most of you that have lived in Winnsboro all your lives know it as the old Gibson place. I know it as my dream home. My 15 acres, my old farmhouse that I love, my backyard with 2 greenhouses full of plants, my Roman cattle romping around. It's my dream home. Today was a glorious day in Winnsboro, wasn't it? The sun was shining, the temperature was great. It's the kind of day that gets me through the days like we had last week when it was cold and icy and nasty. But even on a day like today, when the weather was beautiful, the sky was a crystal blue, the sun was shining, I still had stench in my place. My husband and I put out round bells for our cattle this morning. He fiddled around, fixed some fence. I worked in my greenhouses, and it kept getting worse and worse. There wasn't smoke billowing from it today, but the stench was still there. I finally went in and got my N95, put it on. I noticed my daffodils were starting to come up, and it always gives me hope because I hate winter. I love spring and I love summer. So I got my little bulb planter out, started planting tulips. My chest started burning. I know this burn because I can see that place from my backyard. Every day I can see it. I have a little dog I walk at 2 in the morning, at 4 in the morning. I got a lot of lights around my place. I can see it. But I had to wear my mask today planting my tulips because the smell was so strong. I cook a big Sunday supper every Sunday, like a lot of you probably do, and friends and family come to my house on Sunday afternoons to eat. We always eat outside, especially during COVID. I've had to explain to my neighbors and my friends and my family what that horrific smell is coming from, what it is, what are they doing over there? Can't you do something about that? And I tell them I'm trying. I'm trying. I called every state agency that I can think of, every federal agency I can think of. I've emailed the city council. I came down here last week, maybe it was this week, with tears in my eyes because I don't know other agricultural businesses. When I heard this plant was coming in, I was like, dang, that's a great idea. Take something, chicken litter, make it into something gardeners can use. Yeah, they make some money, good jobs for Winnsboro. I changed my mind about that. Not just since this TCEQ report, but since they know they're in violation of the permit, running 24/7, instead of what their permit's for, they're still doing it. I can see it from my backyard. I can see it from my backyard. And here's the thing, you can take care of this. This can be stopped right here with the people that's in this room. But you can choose to not to. And then outsiders are going to come in and take care of it. I don't think anybody wants that. I don't want that. I want to enjoy my place, my dream home.
I'm going to have to ask you about this. I'm sorry.
I can't vote for y'all. I don't live in the city. But I'm suffering your decisions. Please, I'm begging you to do something before this gets out of hand. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, I have two people's names, so I don't know. Both people would like to speak. Billy and Stephen Barrett. Is that just one person or two? Sorry. Okay. Oh, okay.
So I'm Billy Barrett. So we have been combined with our family.
Could we have your address, please?
3749 County Road 2426. So Vintage and Vines has been our family since 2014. We started our business. We also have the pumpkin patch. So my children have been born, raised there, spent their whole life farming and gardening with us. Their summers, basically all of their life, right? So what do you like to do up at the store, Stephen? And so how is it now? So our children were raised there, having fun, farming. We have pictures. I was a child in the same field farming with my parents, and they were passing on to their grandchildren, something we can no longer do because we're afraid of what's in the air, we're afraid of what's in the soil. I've had a child I've been having to take to Children's Hospital, having to have MRIs, CAT scans, EEGs because he's been having neurological problems. They can't find anything. We've now found out it could be linked to pollution, skin issues, respiratory issues. Now myself on an inhaler. I've never had a pulmonary problem in my life. So it's not just a smell. It is making people sick. Very, very sick. And the most important people to me is our children. It's not fair to them. What about at school? What about going to recess? It's not every day, but sometimes, right? So he cried the other day going to school because he told me he didn't want to go because out at recess he could smell it and he's afraid of it. Because we no longer allow him to go to our store. He no longer gets to go play on our playground. It's changed our life. And now he doesn't want to go out to recess at school because he's afraid of breathing the air because he hears us talking about it. He knows. He knows we don't let him up there because we know it's unsafe. I've spent months and months and months researching this. It's nothing new. We've been fighting this since basically September. And our children are who really matter. So what's this going to do to them in 10 years, 20 years? The kids are what really matter to me. And we really don't know. I mean, do you know what those chemicals are going to do to their bodies? Everything I've researched, that these chemicals, we know it stinks, we know it's smoky, but the and cause all kinds of problems. So, what, do we want in 20 years, he's gonna be 25 and dying, along with all the other kids, because of this plant, releasing all these chemicals? I mean, it's a serious, serious concern. Like I said, I spend probably 5 hours a day researching, reading. It's taken over my life for the last 5, 6 months. That's all I do. That's all I can think about. The stress, the anxiety, the worry. It's awful, and it's not just me. Just because I'm the one here talking about it, the parents all around there, they're terrified. Their children are sick. Everyone's scared because we're living and smelling it, but everyone else, they don't even know. But yet they could still be harming their children, just letting them go outside of their home. So I really wish I would think about it in that sense. Just because you don't directly have an effect right now doesn't mean it's not going to affect everyone, especially our children.
I appreciate you coming forward. Thank you. Next, Jackie Statham. I'm sorry if I killed your name. Could you tell us your last name? I'm sorry.
My name is Jackie
Stratham, okay.
My address is 503 Baker Street here in Winnsboro. I also am the owner of 302 North Main Street, Leafy Levine, the restaurant. We have an outdoor patio, by the way, that sometimes we can't use because it stinks so much, and it's the nearest supermarket that is smelling that bad. I know all those people is from really next door to the problem. I'm not. I'm exactly 2 miles away, but I can't use my backyard. When that lovely eastern wind is blowing, it is terrible. You get sick to your stomach. I fear for our children, for the elementary school. That's right there next to my backyard. I live right in between the junior high and the new high school. We've spent so much money. I mean, new high school, on the Bowery, everything is so beautiful. Winnsboro's economy is absolutely booming. And now we have this. They are in so many violations. I definitely think that it is in the power of the city to give a temporary injunction and close that place down until they can kill all that violations. Thank you.
Thank you for coming forward. Lynn Finney?
Hello, I'm Lynn Finney. I live at 152 County Road 4310. I also have a hair salon at my house, and I also work at Autumn Winds 2 days a week. So it's not only harming the children, but it's harming the elderly. Because I went outside to take one of the elderly dogs out to use the restroom after I got done cutting her hair. And I didn't realize it stunk so bad over there as it almost does at my house, as they were sitting outside with their animals. So it is affecting them also. And my dog has respiratory now. I've gone to the doctor twice with rashes on my leg, and they don't know why. They go, you must be allergic to something. Well, I haven't changed soap powder or laundry detergent or whatever everybody calls it, but anyhow, so it hasn't changed anything for that to happen. Also, it comes in my windows, and I've been woken in the mornings because I'm like, what is that smell? You're sleeping, you're dead asleep, and there's this horrible smell coming in there. So I'm requesting new windows, by the way. Anyway, so that's what's going on over there. Just, I would much rather smell Keller's Creamery and the dairy down in the road than I wish I could smell them again. That's what I'm saying. You can't even smell them anymore. So I'm in agreement with everyone else. It is horrible.
regards to that. Oh, okay. Becky Embry. Thank you.
Becky Embry, what else do you need to know?
Your address, please.
The typical round.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, 3749 Como.
Okay.
But I'm part of Vintage and Vines, and like the only thing that separates us and Sigma is the railroad. That's not much. I'll go a little bit different direction. They've told you about the health effects and stuff, but it's also businesses. We started ours about 8 years ago, and very small, you know. And it's grown every year and probably doubled in, you know, the amount of people coming anyway. Last year was the first year we had people coming from Silver Springs, busloads of children. When I signed them up, you know, Sigma was not a problem. But when they came in October, it was a big problem. We went over and talked to him, and he explained to us that, you know, he wasn't really too concerned about us. He had to get his $10 million plant up and running, you know. And we explained that we're going to have all these little children coming to a pumpkin patch, which is a nice place for families. And like Jimmy, he said, well, hold on a minute. He goes in there, comes back, and he hands us the same chicken litter, you know, like that's supposed to, you know, make everything all right. But anyway, going back to the October, the children, adults have taxes, but children, you know, they just let it out there. So when all the buses come, the little children gets off the bus, and they go like that, and they all grab their noses. And, you know, I'm just sitting there watching this, and this is the business that I've struggled so hard for 10 years, you know, a small business. But it was a happy place. Children were happy, adults were happy. Sometimes adults just come out there and walk through my flowers, and, you know, they just told me, you know, they need to get out and just get away from things, their problems. It would make them happy, just, well, that's, you know, not going to be, if Sigma's pumping out that stuff all day long, they're not going to be happy walking through there smelling that crap. So, anyway, I was just trying to give you a different view from, you know, these children came from Silver Springs, and the teachers and everything, and they, you know, everybody always comments, well, it's so beautiful, but now the stench is so bad that I can't let them come back. You know, I just can't do that to children. Who knows what it's like? My daughter said, who knows what that's pumping out, you know. And TCQ has already told us they don't test for that, for all these bad things. I don't know whose responsibility it is to test for it, but as far as I'm knowing, nobody's taking that responsibility on to know what is actually being come out of that plant and put on us and on this beautiful city. And also, one other thing, it's this 7.6 public hearing, dangerous, substandard building. Well, like Jimmy said, I've met all these people after the fact, you know, we have got to know each other, but nobody knew anything about this coming. Not a single soul, as far as I know. Maybe y'all put something out, I know a lot of you are new, but it would have helped a lot, you know. It would have saved us a lot of heartache, and y'all a lot of heartache. If people had known, maybe you don't know about chicken places, but it's not a good deal. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, the next, Woody Thornton.
on State Highway 11.
Thank you.
My background is that I was one of DuPont's environmental guys. I was one of their incident commanders for the East Coast, from Mississippi East to Puerto Rico, which doesn't amount to no means. I've been fortunate enough to go and sit down in the plant and talk to Charlie Little and Ryan Hawkins. My first meeting with Ryan Hawkins, one of the clouds blew across Highway 11. And when I asked him what he was going to do about it, he just shrugged. I asked him if he was going to report this out. He shrugged. Basically, with the reports, with the environmental reports that y'all see, all they're doing is coming to notice the city of Winnsboro. Night before last, I had a crew in there at 11 o'clock working. They got an 8-hour from 8 to 5. Whenever I came by then, there was a truck turning in unloaded. It was in front of their noses. Whenever they first put the plant up, we saw the used equipment going in. Mr. Carpenter, their crew, their construction company, come in and unassemble the plant. It came from a Coors brewery by chance, which was, it may handle grain, but it didn't handle chicken manure. Also on the report that y'all seen, they're handling cow manure. And what they, I'm not so interested in having the plant shut down, because I know it's going to create a lot of tax money in Winnsboro. I am for making the people do what they're supposed to do. Whenever I sat down the first meeting with Mr. Hawkins, I asked him to see their environmental impact study. And he said, you cannot see that. That's private. It's not. That's public. So they didn't have one. That relates to the city. And I'll leave that at that. But that rests on this level. Whenever he explained that we're working off an air permit, I asked him to see the air permit, and he said, well, we ain't got it here. We're a consultant has it. So I said, well, what about the scrubber system? And he said, well, we don't have one. And that should be something that was put in place before. But I tell you, the way they put the air permit, and the Commission on Environmental Quality will tell you this, they took similar plants from around the country, and it's almost like throwing a dartboard and saying, okay, this is what happens. This is what this plant will produce, and this is about what we need to put in there. But that's not what happened. They violated their permit by bringing cow manure in. The only thing that they didn't let me see in the plant was a room where something was locked up. That's additional chemicals, I'm sure. I don't have it proof. I'm sure that's what they're doing. But the only thing they told me they're adding is molasses. And what we're smelling is burnt molasses.
I know what the smell of burnt chicken is.
Well, that's what they will tell us. And, you know, we got people in the room now that's moved here from Dallas that would live right close to me that pay a lot of money for a piece of property. You can't get that far now. We raise dogs. We've got people, we've got our dogs in situations where they're helping kids. Assistance dogs is what they're offering. We lost a whole litter of dogs. And at the time, it didn't really strike me as this could have been one of those things that happened. But after we started smelling and smelling and smelling, I think it probably was. Because one of the chemicals causes extreme effects for late trimester dogs, early developing fetuses and late developing fetuses. And it says it's detrimental to all of that. Kids, humans.
I'm going to have to ask you to kind of wrap it up.
Okay. I can go on and on and on.
I understand. We have a time limit for each person. I'm sorry.
But, you know, it's not that, you heard the lady say, they spend a lot of money. Y'all spend a lot of money on the ballot. Spend a lot of money on the Brandon School lawn. You know, and what y'all have to do, you've got to take some type of action against these people because they are not, they say they've got consulting for doing the struggle, but they're using old equipment, they're some direct fire equipment, that's where fire's coming from. If whatever they're cooking is material dry and it's burning.
Oh, God, I asked you to wrap it
And
up, sir. I'm sorry.
Okay, thanks a lot.
Yes, sir. Thanks for coming. Okay.
Excuse me, can I just say one thing? I promise
You
I'll
have to
take
cut.
one more, and it'll be a couple words. I just really want to say that I will say
You need to
this.
state your name again.
My name is Jimmy Burns, I live on County Road 4310. But I'd just like to say that I know for a fact that if any of y'all up here had to live by that damn place there and had to smell it and deal with them every day, you'd be up at this podium and you'd be talking for hours. Because there's just 2 minutes or 3 minutes doesn't give a person enough time to justify what they're trying to do. Because they don't care about nobody, what they're trying to do. And that's it.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so at this time, do we have any other additional cards, Angie? Okay. So at this time, we'll go to 6.1, the minutes. We have quite a few. So if we just want to, do y'all want to start with August, I guess, and we'll just go down the line? If that's okay with everybody?
Fine.
Any questions, concerns? August minutes dated August 24th, 2021.
We can approve them all at the same time. It's under
Okay.
consent calendar.
Okay,
Therefore,
so-
Madam Mayor, I move approval of the minutes as presented for 8/24/21, 9/7/21, 12/9/21, 12/14/21, and 1/31/21.
I'll second.
Okay, all in approval?
Aye.
Okay, thank you. So next, let's go to 7.1, Ms. Heather Price.
My name is Heather Price. My physical address is 1957 FM 852 Texas, or Central 471. I'm here on behalf of the junior prom, and we would like to see if y'all can waive the fees for the city auditorium from March 26th. We were trying to bring prom back here to Winnsboro, so.
So is this the Como prom or the Winnsboro?
No, I'm in Winnsboro School.
Oh, okay, okay.
So Winnsboro
Your
High
address
School.
threw me off, I'm
Yes,
sorry.
I just live in a, little bit
Okay.
tiny away from,
Okay.
but no, this is for our Winnsboro prom.
Okay.
So, do y'all have any questions or
Do
anything
you
else?
have any questions for Ms. Price?
I do have a question, and that's in the Civic Center, right?
Yes.
Okay. Question of staff as to whether or not if the Civic Center renovations with the bathrooms will be done at that time?
We're 99% done right now this morning, so we've done plenty of time.
Thank you.
What was the date again?
It's March 26th.
And I'm just assuming you've checked with Miss Stacy that date's open?
Yes.
Okay.
I got all the
Okay.
We got all the plans. We just need, it was one of my last things to ask you guys if
Oh, okay.
you can waive our fees.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Anybody else have questions? Thank you.
I move that we waive the fee for the Civic Center for WHA's Winnsboro High School class of 2023.
I second the motion.
All in approval?
Aye.
Okay. You have your date, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you.
7.2, Ms. Tammy Burns.
Hi, I'm Amy Burns. My address is 3518 County Road 27. And I'm one of the new Christmas in the Parks coordinator. Vicki Forby's been doing it for the past several years, and she's passing it on over to myself. And Arnold
They look very happy sitting there. Yeah, just.
They're here in support of me. As y'all probably already know, Christmas in the Park is a nonprofit organization. And there's about 20 local churches that participate. And this is going to be our 18th year to host it in the Civic Center in Winnsboro. So our date this year is going to be November 12th, which is Saturday. And we'll be using the facility also Friday, November 11th. And so y'all been so kind in the past to waive the fees for this event. So I'm here tonight to ask you if you will waive the fees for those 2 days for this year's event.
Anybody have questions? Ms. Dean? I think we all enjoy the Christmas in the Park.
Thank you.
Calling her.
Madam Mayor, I move approval of waiving the fees for Christmas in the Park on November 11th and 12th at the Civic Center.
I'll second.
Calling approval.
Aye.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for coming. 7.3, Ms. Chana Willis.
Shelby Willis, 1268 County Road 4470, Winnsboro, Texas. Have a little patience with me and my family on tonight. And been running back and forth from my mother's surgery this week. Shopping in Dallas, lady ran into me and she said, "You're the chicken lady in Winnsboro, aren't you?" Right there at Walmart, January 5:30. I had 45 chickens, 3 cats, and 4 dogs. I have a short story to tell you and then some solutions that might help us out. When y'all gave us a statement in December, we were going to wait on the TCEQ process. In November 1999, I gave a man who was soon to be dead a promise. His name was Admiral Elor Zumwalt. He was Chief of Naval Operations during Vietnam, and he had just received the Presidential Medal of Freedom from President Bush. And I sat next to him at a board dinner at the Dallas Museum of Art. My boss was in front. I was nervous sitting next to him, but I worked for the board of directors. I was responsible for taking all the burden of 35 accountants. I managed investor relations. I made the material look good so the leaders can make decisions, just like you guys do. You're dependent upon the staff and the public to get good information so you as leaders can make decisions. I always like doing the research behind the scenes. Tex was nervous. He's my country cowboy. And he was sure nervous sitting next to the former chief of naval operations. And we saw Admiral Zumwalt stuff a napkin in his shoulder and run some food with his thumb over a fork, and Tex said, "Game on." Stuffed that napkin in, and he was more relaxed. As the dinner progressed, I knew him as Bud. He set up at my alma mater, Texas Tech, the Center for Indian Studies. And he wipes his mouth. Us not knowing he had mesothelioma and would be dead in 8 weeks. He said, "Chana, I need you to do me a favor. When I'm gone and dead, I need you to tell people I'm sorry." "Well, what for?" He said, "I didn't know. I'm the one that ordered the use of Agent Orange during Vietnam. My son was there in the jungle and got sprayed with it. And his son got the Agent Orange disease. And as he lay dying, they wrote a book together. And he said it was very healing. He said, even though I didn't know and I felt like I was misled, I was a leader. And I was responsible. And I was sorry. So anybody you ever come across, you tell them I'm sorry. And I didn't know. And there's things that we can't fix in the past of how this happened. Failure's not a mistake. A mistake's not failure. You wanted to know the TCEQ process, and during this, I discovered that the TCEQ, if you look at the flow chart I've given you, if you want to pull that out this time, I'd like to just give you some information that will help you make decisions on this process. And do you have the power and authority to do anything? So if you look at the top, and
protect the general health and welfare of the public. There's a thing called, under state law, and I have all this in the Dropbox, the ETJ. Some people say, I don't have a voice because I live in the county right next to the property. Your own zoning map for ETJ, when you click it on your website, goes to at cost. And it shows the city's ETJ as a half a mile. So Vintage and Vines, and any property when they're half a mile, you're responsible as the mayor and council under state law for the health, well-being, happiness, and comfort. It says that in the law of the people in the ETJ, not just the citizens. And that's what an ETJ is, extraterritorial jurisdiction. So let's look at the city law, number 2. I'm going straight for the gun here to keep it short because I know you've heard a lot about this tonight. On the bottom right, it says there is a city ordinance, chapter 14, section 19. No obnoxious odors. Okay? And I've attached those in the Dropbox. First, we establish is the property in the city limits. I have got maps that show that. I went to Wood County Appraisal District, shows where they pay city taxes. I show the maps for the city as its own industrial. And in the research, I show what industrial means. Then we scoot over to Sigma. When I was meeting with the TCQ investigators with some of these citizens, one of them said, the city said they're waiting on the TCQ process before they want to know what to do. The TCQ won't tell the city what to do. It's the city that granted the occupancy permit. The only time the TCQ will tell the city what to do is the city violating some permit. It's the city that has the permit. But we can learn from their investigation. In fact, it's your way out. We're in this together. By the fact that they've documented there's odor problems, each and every day there's an odor problem in their report, it documents a violation of the city law. And the police department, code enforcement, can give them a citation. Each and every day there is an odor problem. The fine can be up to $2,000 according to your own ordinance in the books. If they have been fined for 90 days, 5 to 6 violations a day, you'd already have $900,000 for them. I don't even know what one violation is given under, but there's documentation in writing. There's a city law. Somebody violates law, they're supposed to be cited. One citizen said they called the police and asked them to write a ticket. Oh no, it's just a misdemeanor. Can I drive down from city now and say, because it's just a misdemeanor? Can we get to choose which law we follow? They are absolutely breaking at least 6 city laws. I'll get to in just a minute. Let me talk about being sick first of all. At the last city council meeting in December, y'all heard me talking. I haven't had a problem in a long time, but I've been very sick since I was at Vintage and Vines. I got pancreatitis. I've had a urinary tract infection for 9 weeks. They can't figure out why I'm sick. I'm getting additional testing, CAT scans, MRIs. I tried to avoid it. I was just fixing to rebound, and I had to drive through town yesterday. And now I can hardly stand up. I told Chief, if I go down, Jake has my husband's number. I don't know how long I can stand here, but I do want to skip to the violations that I point out to you why you can write those. All-Star Drive. Alleged violations is question number 13. If you'll scoot to those real quick. It says in the violation that it shall be unlawful for any person who own or occupy any house or building to allow any filth or impure or unwholesome matter of any kind to accumulate or remain thereon. Violation 2, that they can receive a citation for. The industrial district provided such manufacturing and industrial operation shall not disseminate dust, fumes, gas, noxious odors, smoke beyond the boundary of their property. Leaders, there is a clear violation of the city law, and there's documentation by another government agency that you can now cite them for each one of those states' records in that government report. It's the right thing to do. It's city law. Alleged violation 3. The following uses are permitted in the district. Nothing shall go beyond the boundary of their properties. That's been established. Number 4.
19.27A has adopted the state law of their permit by rule, and the TCQ has said they violated their permit by rule. You now no longer need to wait on the TCQ. You can act on your own law. You don't need permission from the state to act on your own law. Number 5, industrial manufacturing processes. No operation shall be conducted unless it conforms to standard of state health rules regarding particulate matter. TCEQ talks about the particulate matter. Matter of fact, at the last meeting, the city council instructed the mayor to obtain the safety data sheets within 5 days. And it's my understanding, off the record, a city official told me that the attorney told y'all not to do that. Just wait. So we have a city attorney advising leaders not to follow the law. It's your decision. It's a dog wagging the tail. The list of possible emissions according to the segment plant's own TCQ application include sulfur dioxide, iron oxide dust, oxides of nitrogen, hydrogen, sulfide, large amounts of ammonia in their violations, oxides of sulfur, particulate matter of dust, gums and solid matters, mercury, cadmium, cobalt, nickel, zinc, chloride, chromium, humic acid, ash, phosphorus, magnesium, chlorine, potash, carbon monoxide, ammoniacal nitrate, boron, and other components listed in their disclosure report. You didn't need to go get your safety data sheets. I have them in online open to the public if you don't know how to find them. The next violation. Since the state has determined that they have violated, and you see on the flow chart, turn to the flow chart that has to do with the TCQ process. This page right here. None of us know everything. I don't. I'm still learning stuff, so I may make mistakes in this. I'm not perfect. And when she said a minute ago, adults have tact, that's not something I'm not long on, so I'm still a child at heart. But every time a citizen files a complaint, it goes to regional. Under blue citizen, okay, the complaint gets a number. And Jordan Beltar investigates it. And I have a copy of my investigation with 20 others in the packet that you received today. She closes it. If you notice on the TCQ website on the report, it says close in a little blue question mark. Close means, like if you have a fire and you do an incident report, you close an incident report. She closes this one incident report, and they can note at the action at the bottom, she sent it on to the enforcement officer at the state level. I'm going to talk with the state level. The enforcement officer is Johnny Wu. I've been asked to give affidavits regarding my medical records. Any other citizens listening or in this room that wish to submit their medical records consideration on the notice of enforcement, I can get those documents to you. Normally when a plant has a violation, they give them kind of like a warning. They say, hey, you got a notice of violation, you need to fix this up to 180 days. This was so bad that they skipped the notice of violation and went straight for the enforcement. Each time someone calls this week or last week, that's a new investigation. This investigation is closed, number 1775819. But there's new ones, and that takes 6 months. But when Jordan came out, she said, at this time, smoke and odor were so strong, the investigators were forced to drive up the highway due to coughing, gagging from the smoke odor. Nuisance conditions were confirmed. That's your way out to write your violations and your citations. You can also put conditions on a temporary hold of the occupancy permit until things are put in order. That is your choice to do that. To not do so, there is something the citizens can do by state law. If the city fails to act on citing against their own ordinance being violated, citizens can go directly to court and file their own complaint and swear it out as an asset. We don't want to do that. We're with you on this. We know you want to be on the citizen's side. Okay? Nobody wants to strong arm anybody, but people are sick. And people can't conduct business. So right now, this main first investigation is at the state level. They will be getting fines and penalties. They very rarely shut a company down. That's not their business. They issue a permit. It's the city that can revoke occupancy permit. It's the city that can find them for violating their own laws on environmental health. Finally, the thing I wanted to add is that in the back of the document, now that I've established the problem and shown you in this packet, please read it, the TML guidance on what your authority is to do, what your power is to do. I define manufacturing process and how you define industrial district. I've got the maps. It says, TML handbook says that the courts can inquire and look at your ordinances and make sure that it is in protection of the general health, safety, and welfare of the public. Time and time again in state law, in the TML handbook, it states that. The one thing that was confusing when I talked with Fire Marshal Tony Davidson that I found out was a correction. In state law, it says there exists the Office of Emergency Management Director of the city, which is held by the mayor by state law. Mayor Newsom, you are the Emergency Management Director, and no one else is. You can assign and appoint coordinators, and you did that. Your coordinator that you assigned by an interlocal agreement with Wood County, signed in September, assigned the county fire marshal as the coordinator. And it said the county and the city signed this mutual aid agreement that the county's fire marshal can enforce orders and decrees within a city. Your fire chief and Scotty, the code enforcement's not alone. You've already contracted and given power as him being the coordinator to help you enforce your own city laws. I'm asking that you do that with expediency, and you can do it under the normal measures of a 7-day period of time frame, or you can invoke the emergency one and start fining them up to $2,000 a day. I provided documentation that shows what the steps are under non-emergency powers and what they would be under emergency powers as decided by the emergency director, Mayor Newsom. This is all in the document. I don't believe in scatter shooting like I used to do in the past with too much information, but I don't know where this is going for me personally. This has nothing to do with my work. And things I do as a hobby, although I am having to not coordinate the Winnsboro walking trails this year because I can't bring people to town if it smells like this. The Honor Trails Mama Lake Club that I do the webmaster for and Texas president for, so they have their 50th anniversary this year. And we've got the Red Barn in April to celebrate with Mama Lake clubs around the state. But I don't know if we can bring them downtown. I'm asking within 7 days the city cite these folks is my official ask. And yes, at this time you can have discussion on this because on the agenda item, I specifically asked for the allowance for you to take action. You don't need to ask the city attorney permission to enforce your own law that's already on the book. They have an odor problem, they have a particulate problem, it's supported by the TCQ document. You cannot be paralyzed with fear. You don't need permission from the city attorney to enforce your own laws. It's already there on the books. Thank you for your time very much.
Thank you.
And I am specifically asking for discussion and action on this.
Okay.
And that's how it was presented on the agenda in my request.
Any discussion at this time? Council?
How about a motion?
Decidedly. If your law is broken,
I have some comments to make. First of all, Janet Gale, I want to really thank you for going to all of this research and the time and the effort that is taken on your part I personally really appreciate that you come up here and you present this to us and that you present it to the community. Thank you very much. Lots of information that you've given us tonight, or given me, has been an eye-opener. I haven't had time to absorb it. The email that I got from you was just before this meeting with all of your documentation behind it. I certainly, as a council member wanting to do my job for the citizens, need some time to really look at this document that you presented to us and come up with an action plan.
Thank you.
I think...
If someone calls City Hall, is there not a log being kept of the complaints to validate there is a concern? And second, people are asking the city police department to cite them, and they're refusing to do so. Can we not instruct them to cite people violating our own laws, please, while you're mulling this over? Is there a problem with not issuing citations for someone breaking the city law? I appreciate that consideration. Thank you.
Good. Andy, could you answer that? There have been complaints that have been sent to the police department, and that there has been no response from the police department.
There's been a response, but they won't write a citation.
Oh.
Have any citations been issued?
Not to my knowledge, though.
And it's been going on 3 months. And they know when there's a
Let's,
problem.
yeah, let's,
I was talking to Scotty about this, or he was talking to me about it last week, so we got this training. And what I understand, he's about to start writing citations. I'm not sure what he's waiting on.
so Scotty's not,
As far as calls coming into the police department, I've not heard of any of the calls. I'm sure that he's still looking for coming in. It goes on, but I've not heard of any of them.
Could I
So-
have
We have no
everyone's,
problem writing the citations. I'm not sure he was, he's in contact with the city attorney, and I'm not sure where they're at with that. But he was waiting on something, but he was talking about going to write the citation. I'm assuming that's coming.
at this time, could we go into a executive session at 6:42, please?
Thank you. You don't need me to stay here.
No.
You're doing it on attorney-client, on this topic, correct? Is that-
It's on this topic, yes.
Okay. That means everybody has to leave the room.
Oh, I know. Mr. Andy, can we make sure everyone's out of the building, please? Can we make sure everyone's out of the building, please?